Happy Aloha Friday, everyone, and it is now Pauhana. Welcome to my Tais at Sunset. I'm Tai.
And I'm Mai. It's Happy Aloha Friday. Let's set an intention to just share a lot of positivity today.
Awesome. That sounds really great. I think we have like a lot of topics to talk about because there's like exciting things happening. It's like moving and shaking. I love it when people come to visit the towns that I like reside in. Usually I'm like all over the country. And so now that I'm back sort of in Texas, I know a lot, but a lot of things have changed. I mean, I haven't been home. I haven't been like home in Texas, in Houston for, I would say like a good collectively like 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while. I did come back for a short stint of a year here, but then I moved back to Hawaii. So it just seems like I'm always like on the go and I'm never around. But now that I'm back, there's so many new things to discover, but there's also old things too. And so a friend of mine is coming to visit, and I created this awesome travel guide. So we're going to talk a little bit about Houston and what it has to offer. It's not as exciting as Hawaii and definitely not as beautiful, but there's so many amazing things you can do in Houston, and there's so much food. Like, Houston should be considered the melting pot of food in the United States. I don't know if it is, and I know New York, maybe Chicago, Philadelphia, LA, they might say otherwise, but there is so much diversity and like rich culture of food. I don't know how COVID like really affected all of the restaurants that are here, but I can tell you that if I drive down one road in my town, you'll find African food, you'll find Middle Eastern food, Ethiopian food, which is kind of similar to Middle Eastern, but I just kind of like want to like throw that out there because I'm thinking about driving down. You've got Mexican food, you got Chinese food, you got Thai food, Vietnamese, Indian food. You have your American, you've got your Southwest, you got your Tex-Mex, and you just have like a lot barbecue. I mean, you always have to have barbecue. Then you got the occasional salad place that like a lot of people don't really want to go to, but they do because they're on a diet perpetually. So, or indefinitely, not perpetually, but indefinitely. Yeah. And then, you've got all your fast food places. You've got places that most places don't have, like a Whataburger. I mean, Whataburger's great. And then you have like all these hit and miss sort of mom and pop places. We got like drive up crawfish places, drive up margarita bars. COVID has really changed the face of what food looks like. And so now that, Texas is 100% like mask off, like you can walk around without a mask, but some businesses are requiring it, but it technically like you can walk around without a mask now.
That is so crazy. I am so not ready for that.
People have been flipping displays and getting angry at workers and stuff because they want to exercise their right to take off their mask. Some people argue that it's like a choice now. Like we have a choice if we want to wear a mask or not because the governor doesn't really want to tell people to wear a mask anymore. And I think there was like pressure there. It was something about the Texas Constitution. Like we're the only state that has its own constitution and it's still recognized and all those things. So I just find it interesting. But either way, I think wearing a mask is important. It helps you. It helps me. It helps the community. And until we get completely over this together, I'm definitely wearing a mask. And that's a firm yes.
I bought so many cute ones. I'm going to wear them.
And I feel like this is going to be around for a while. I mean, we should wear them probably until the middle of summer. I mean, until the majority of the population, at least like 80 to 90% is vaccinated, we should wear our masks. Just protect your loved ones. I mean, I work in a high-risk environment. I don't feel safe, not wearing a mask. So I'm going to continue. Whether it destroys my skin or not, I still am going to wear it and be responsible. So let's talk about a little bit about Houston. Okay. So
if I were to come, I know that we would have a really great time. And I love playing tourist.
We would have the best time. Like you and I, we don't give two shits about nothing. Like everybody we don't care what we wear. We don't care what we look like. We're going to go have fun and everybody will have fun around us because we have got that good energy. Yeah. And that's the number one thing that I will say about you, Mai, is that If I want to go somewhere with you, we will have a blast and we'll laugh about the stupidest things. And you know what? Everybody will envy it because we have that positive energy just coming out
Well,
all the
I'm
time.
really excited about your adventure. So, what are some of the fun things that you picked out? Tell me
Well,
about them
okay.
because I want to know. And then you're also going to check to make sure that they were good because I know this other friends come in. I want you guys to have a great time, but you guys also have to come back and you have to say, well, what is the reality of actually playing tourist in Houston and what's
Yeah,
open and how different
absolutely.
is it and is it better? I want to know.
Well, I have been dining out, and I will say that, the restaurants were at 75% capacity. Now they're at 100%. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to follow that 6 foot rule anymore.
Okay.
They can stack tables on top of tables. Bars
Okay.
are open till 2 a.m. Things like that. But a lot of the restaurants are still not as crowded. Now the popular ones are Chama Gaucha, which is a Argentinian steakhouse or Brazilian steakhouse, one of those. I think it's Argentinian. They had so many people. Like when it was like 50% capacity, 75% capacity, like people were sitting on top of people. And now that it's 100%, I imagine it's way worse. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
calling them out, but I'm just saying like when we went there, it was pretty crowded, and I didn't really care for it.
Yeah.
But we got put into a private room, and so I felt a lot safer that way. A lot of the restaurants are not as crowded. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of places are still going to respect that 6 foot rule just because they want people to come in and say, this is safe. Like, we're still practicing good behaviors that promote safety first. And there's a lot of people out there that are not vaccinated still. I mean, we're still in phase 1, phase 2. No, I'm sorry. We're in phase 1A and 1B. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the general population yet. Somebody was telling me that a lot of people are actually lying on their appointment time or
Mm-hmm.
like during their appointment time and just saying they're a frontline worker, their caregiver, their grocery store worker, whatnot. And I mean, I understand there are a lot of people declining to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have extra, go for it. Like anybody should be able to get it. If you are being proactive and trying to make an appointment and you're there for the extras at the end, do it. I don't have any problem with that because if you don't get it, they expire.
Yeah.
So do it. So my friend flies in. The airport's totally packed. When we were at the height of the pandemic, airports were still bustling. People weren't wearing masks properly at IH. Like, they take off their masks to talk on the phone and yell on the phone. And it's just unreal. And they were wearing their masks like below their nose. So right now, I feel like the airport is like at full capacity, probably just running. They say they get like millions of people like every day or something going through the airports. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in. We are going to a sushi restaurant that I have
Yeah.
never been to. It's called Roka Acor. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how to say that properly, but I usually go to Uchi because I like it, but they're not doing their omakase, and then they're completely booked as far as reservations. It's only like really late reservations, and I don't want to really eat that late, but I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited to try the omakase at Roka Acor because they have a deluxe one,
Mm-hmm.
which will be really exciting to try. And then Airbnbs are really popular down in the Montrose and the Heights area, so that's kind of like the hipster area. Upper Kirby is also like kind of a new and up and coming area that I didn't really realize was gentrified as much.
Mm-hmm.
Very ritzy, lots of tech,
Mm-hmm.
lots of oil still, electric, things like that. And so they're staying up there, which is where like everything is. As far as activities, we're looking at the museums. So
Mm-hmm.
Museum of Fine Arts, they've got like a ton of buildings. I think I even wrote on here it's like one of the biggest fine arts museums behind the Met. And then there's like the Museum of Natural Science, which is really exciting. I love science. I love
Mm-hmm.
hands-on things, and that museum like allows you to do that. We were gonna go to the zoo possibly, but the weather is kind of iffy, so we're kind of keeping that on the back burner a little bit. We're gonna head down to Galveston. Both of us have not seen the beach in a while,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's not the prettiest beach. It's gonna be ugly that day, probably cloudy and whatnot, but it's still beach, right? It's
Still a
still got sand.
beach.
You still hear the ocean going.
Mm-hmm.
Salty hair don't care. things like that. We're not getting in the water, I don't think, because the water's pretty warm and like it's like stepping into like a pool full of pee. So we're not going to do that. But we might pick up some. They have sand dollars. They have some seashells. We'll just be out there looking, and I think that'll be really fun. The seawall is super famous. Galveston was hit by massive hurricane in the 1900s, and they built the seawall. It's like I think it's like a 6-foot drop, but it's meant to deter from flooding. Even though the last, I think, really bad hurricane, which was Ike or Harvey. I'm sorry, excuse me, Hurricane Harvey.
Okay.
That really devastated Houston. That wall did not work. We have a condo down there, and that whole place got flooded. Our condo's on the first floor. It did not get flooded, but it got a lot of wind damage, a lot of structural damage, and a lot of places were really devastated down in Galveston. Like a lot of the houses are built on stilts, like tall stilts by the ocean, and they were just completely wiped out. And all the boats were like everywhere on the freeways, and they had washed ashore, and it was just crazy. So they've rebuilt. We've had a couple scares. It did snow during the blizzard of 2021. So that's the first time they've seen like snow on that beach in a long time, which was really
Hopefully
exciting.
you won't see it again for a long, long time from now, ever.
Yeah, well, I you know what? I believe that global warming, climate change is happening, and we might flip-flop. Like it might be really, really hot, like in some on the East Coast, Northeast, they do get hot weather, but I think they're going to have more days of hot weather, and we'll have less down here.
That's
probably
weird.
something that's going to happen. It's just flippy flop, like we're not taking care of our planet, I guess. The Strand is a old timey kind of downtown district. It's been gentrified a little bit, but it still has that old town feel. They do during Christmas is Dickens on the Strand, so everybody kind of dresses up in the Victorian sort of era. And then we have Mardi Gras down there, usually in February, and it's like packed just like New Orleans. It's very crazy. So those are kind of the activities that we're doing or have on the list. And then we have like tons of food places. So not
food
alone
places to go check out. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Those are all kind of the same things I would go and visit in any state, in any place. Is I love museums. Of course, I always want to see if I'm anywhere near water. I want to see what the water looks like. So when I went to the East Coast, I had to go step into the Atlantic just to say I did it. And it's like I always want to see, and when I'm on the West Coast, I have to see my Pacific Ocean and what that looks like from another landmass.
Right.
But I love museums. I love the zoo. I think that it doesn't matter where you travel. You always want to go try the local food, and you want to taste the place where you are, and that's the fun of going to see all of these beautiful places and vacationing. That's such a word. That's like one of those words that you haven't heard anybody say all of 2020. It was so sad.
Right?
The idea of thinking that you can go on a vacation again is exciting, or traveling again.
Yeah, and I mean, traveling is a big part of human life. Not for everybody, but for most people, that's how you learn. That's how you absorb different cultures. You kind of open and broaden your mind. And I felt like that when I was young. My mom would take me on all of her sales trips or business trips, and I would travel the United States and different countries, and experience it that way. She would actually trust me to go out on my own when I was quite young, like 13, 14. I went to Disneyland by myself. Like I've done things on my own, and I would say I grew pretty exponentially because I had to be an adult, right? Pretty much like, here's your money. You can't do that now because I think it's like child abandonment. But back then you could be a 13, 14-year-old at Disneyland by yourself and be safe. So the food. So what I have on the list is, you've got your American fare. You have authentic Chinese food, Japanese food. I think I've got like a little bit of, there's some fun stores down on the Strand, and like one of them's a witchcraft store, which was fun. Like they've got
Mm-hmm.
like Harry Potter stuff and things, and then they have an old confectionery, so it looks like an old mom and pop milkshake bar or whatever, and then it has like all kinds of candy. So we're gonna go check it out, and yeah, have some brunch, have some Greek food maybe. Like there's just so much to choose from, and I'm just really excited about tomorrow. I mean, it's a vacation. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
had a vacation in a long time, and I just feel like it's definitely been earned. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. I'm excited. I hope you take a lot of pictures. A lot of
maybe,
pictures.
maybe we'll see.
Video would be better. Video, take video. I
All right.
definitely want to see the ocean moving. I want to see what, not a still
Oh,
picture. I want to see it.
it's such a murky ocean. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, get me
Yeah,
out
but
of
I've never
here.
been there.
Everybody wants to see Hawaii's oceans. Nobody wants to see Galveston, Texas.
But
Like
isn't it
Galveston,
funny that
Texas,
a Hawaii girl
it's like
wants to see the ocean from other places?
she wants to see the murky, dark ass water with like all these kind of sharks that are in there, jellyfish. Right now, there's a riptide warning. She wants me to die when I go in video. Like, I know.
You
No,
don't
I
go
will do it.
in.
But
Just, I want to see it.
I will say in its defense, like a couple times, it was clear. They
Mm-hmm.
brought some sand in. They actually imported sand,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was clear. And I actually saw fish in there, and it scared me because I didn't realize how many really big freaking fish were so close to like the
Sure.
coast. I was like, this is not good. Yeah, but doesn't Hawaii import sand now too?
We
Because of
do in
erosion?
Waikiki. And if you've ever walked on the beach that has like the sand is coarser and
Yep.
it's not real soft, broken down, that's what they've imported, unfortunately, to Waikiki.
Yeah, there's that King's
erosion.
Tide. Yeah, the King's Tide, when it comes in, it like erodes the crap out of the beach, especially in
Yeah.
Waikiki.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Other parts of the
unfortunate.
island too. I mean,
North Shore.
North Shore, one of the most popular beaches, Lanikai, total
Yeah.
erosion. Kailua, also a really popular beach. Waimanalo, all of those beautiful beaches used to be at least 3 or 4 times what you see today, and it is just dwindling. Pretty soon, those houses, they're gonna be they're gonna be the beach. The houses are gonna be gone. It's very sad.
Is there anything that we can do to prevent that erosion? I don't think so. Like, there's no real
Hawaii did
methods
a lot of
doing it.
terrible things with seawalls. And seawalls have been reported. Oh, do you hear that? I'm hearing that in my ear. There's an emergency alert for the National Weather Service as a flash flood advisory.
Again? Hawaii's been going through some really bad weather and
My phone
flooding.
has been going off almost every hour for the past 2 days with this emergency warning. I think we talked about it briefly. You know, people go hiking. And I just literally saw on the news this woman, unfortunately, she lost her very young husband. And they were here they were not on this island. They were on Maui. And she didn't understand what a flash flood was. And they were hiking literally to a waterfall. Waterfalls are like, all the way up the mountain, there are spots along the stream bed where there are pools. And you don't know necessarily where the rain patch is. Like if the rain is above, closer to the mountain, it could be filling up a pool and you're like way below at one of the lower waterfalls. And it just takes literally seconds for it to become a raging river. And her husband and her, I think a friend that he was with also, they were immediately swept out to the ocean. And, what do you do?
Well, the sharks are at the bottom. They're always at the bottom of
the ocean right now in Hawaii is, because of all this rain, it is brown, murky water. And you never want to go into the ocean when it's murky water because you can't see the sharks, and the sharks don't really know what you are, but they
want you though. They want you. And so I guess what Hawaii's oceans look like right now is what Galveston will look like.
Probably.
When I take a picture and send it to you. Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
So look at that, Hawaii. Galveston is just on the
Just
same
as
playing field.
beautiful.
Just as beautiful, just for
Yeah.
that, brief moment of whatever churning.
But I will say this, that when I was in California, the water looked clear when I was standing in it, but the brightness of the sand seems to make all the difference in the color of your water.
I see.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
I have to say that in Hawaii, several of the beaches are very white sand. And so the ocean, it looks very, very blue, reflecting with the sky, and the water just super clear because you're seeing
That's
it
like Lanikai. Yeah.
on white sand. Same with Kailua Beach, even Waimanalo. But once it gets deeper.
I love it when it's flat. When
it's flat.
Oh my gosh. When Lanikai, Kailua, or Waimanalo are flat. What? Nalo is never really flat.
No,
but
it
when
can be.
Kailua and Lanikai.
When there's no waves, that whole side goes flat.
That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I could just lay out there in the middle of the ocean and just be content.
Flat
Hopefully
is
not get eaten by
rare.
anything.
Flat is rare.
I remember time trials, one time trial, and it was flat as shit. And it was all about how much muscle you had. Not if you could like coast on a wave or get a bump here and there. It was literally like, who the hell can tractor pull the best? And that's why I think it did okay. Like, I was in the middle of the pack and I impressed everybody. Everybody was like so mad. And I was like, look, I might not be the best paddler, but you damn right I have some strength. I can get my ass across that finish line.
Yeah.
I was always worried I was going to flip.
I think that's why they choose for like when they have the competitions, they're trying to look for the most even water to make it fair. So Kaneohe Bay is traditionally pretty flat.
Terrible.
It is. It's gorgeous. And you got the Ko'olau Mountains all the way around. It's one of the most beautiful racing spots that we have during the paddling season.
That's true.
There's other clubs. We didn't talk about it before, but that don't race in the open water. Open ocean. They race on the canals and the streams. Like Alooooohhhhaaaaa. I don't actually know where the paddlers who race in Alooooohhhhaaaaa. They're a different association. But I don't like the idea of paddling in the Alooooohhhhaaaaa. That's a man-made.
That's where all the people like bodies end up being. Like if they dredged that, there would be definitely some bodies down there with like chains on them and stuff.
People have they've done a lot of work to clean up the Alooooohhhhaaaaa, especially since there's so much it's in a touristy area, goes through Waikiki.
Yeah. Yep.
But I remember when it was I think maybe before it was so popular for racing, I've seen shopping carts in there, cars like pushed in there.
Yeah, it's a gross ass canal. Period. Like I think one guy like fell in and he got neck fash, which is like that flesh-eating bacteria, and he like basically wasted away.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens. That's a real thing.
Flesh-eating bacteria cases in Hawaii, and I don't know what people were touching, or they just kind of tell you, well, you can get it, and you're like, well, what do you get it from? I don't know.
You get it from, I don't know, like an open wound, and then you like lay out in some dirty water. Get it from.
I will bring it back to.
What's the canal that we always had to go paddle in? Right,
that wasn't a canal. Kailua? That's open water. No. In Kailua. That's just like it's the canal that comes off the Kawainui Marsh. Going back to what you said about flesh-eating bacteria and don't have an open wound. That's what we thought about every time we paddled at Ke'ehi Lagoon. That water. It's a harbor. It's open to the ocean. It's mostly flat water, but sometimes there can be a little waves. So when all the canoes, your lanes, you'd always want the lane that had a little bit of a push, but not going in the other direction.
Crazy.
But I have seen one of my paddling teammates, their child was paddling in their own age division. And this child came out and was covered in little bumps, like he had a rash.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And he felt like he was itchy, and he felt like things were biting him in the water. So I am really paranoid about being in that water. But I will say,
I just didn't even want to step into it. Ke'ehi Lagoon, I didn't even want to step into it. I was like, this is gross.
Yeah. But I will say that if you come to Hawaii and you have, a scrape or a scratch, not only put Band-Aids and go in the ocean, put Band-Aids and then like really seal it with, you said Tegaderm, but duct
Mm-hmm.
tape. Duct tape, you can run into the hardware store. They'll have it.
Yep. That's true. Man, I do miss racing though. Looking at these pictures now, I'm like, what? Anyway,
uh,
all right.
the
One day.
stress of it. You know what I'm going to say about team activities? Culturally, if you're going to come and you're going to stay, and you want to make a lot of friends really fast, I will say
Yeah.
get involved. Get involved in one of the many cultural activities in Hawaii.
Even
We
hula.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously hula is big, and there are halaus all over, hula schools all over the state of Hawaii. Every single island, there's going to be more than one. There's probably like, I don't know, hundreds per island. And they have competitions all the time. Paddling, canoe paddling, outrigger canoe paddling is
CrossFit.
a big thing. Any kind of activity,
Hiking.
hiking.
Yeah.
There are hiking clubs. There are
Yep.
running clubs. There's biking clubs. There's the motorcycle clubs are a little more a little more judgy. You can do that too.
Speaking of like hiking and stuff, I remember I met Dog the bounty hunter's wife
Mm-hmm.
on the Makapu lighthouse hike.
Uh-huh.
She apparently runs up and down that like every day, every morning. That's like part of her routine. Well, it was part of her routine until she passed away. Beth.
Yeah.
Her name was Beth.
Well, they live close to that. They were like in that neighborhood in like Hawaii Kai or somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So that makes sense. It's a nice, easy place to like park, and then it's uphill, so you feel like you're getting good workout. And it's barely 2 miles up to the top.
She definitely has a foul mouth on her, or had a foul mouth on her. She definitely had a foul mouth on her. She was a hot lady. Like she was just everything about her was
they
like
had a
spicy and hot.
tough, whatever their job was. It didn't seem like they were interacting with the best of our society, but.
Well, I didn't realize there were so many escaped or like people out with like warrants for their arrest in Hawaii. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
And you think that would be silly because we're an island. There's
Yeah, not that
nowhere you
big.
can go except the ocean.
You've had some crazy forensic cases though in Hawaii. I remember when I was going to school, we had like a forensic scientist and FBI investigator come out and talk to us about a couple murders like down in Waikiki and Honolulu and like all the crazy stuff. And I was like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is some crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But if you ever talk to like real HPD, again, they have the same opinion. It's like you're on an island. There isn't too many ways on or off of it. And so any criminal person this is not the place to escape. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
So I think
it's something.
Committing crime is I'm sorry, it's not the smartest thing to do on this island. In any island situation.
Right. Yeah. I just found it really fascinating that there was just so much crime.
Mm-hmm.
And really some grisly ass murders that were covered up.
We are an international destination, and people come here for different reasons. So be vigilant, if you're visiting.
Yeah, because once your body goes in the ocean, like it takes a hot minute for it to come back.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's more. There are some really sketchy missing ocean people who they've gone out as a couple or a pair, and only one has returned from like a day of kayaking.
Yeah, that's true. Or a day of like scuba diving.
Yeah.
What we should do is do a special edition of like My Tais at Sunset and do like some kind of like crime exposed Hawaii style. Like
scary stuff.
Oh. So, back on topic, I'm really excited about my friend visiting, and I hope they really enjoy it. I mean, I put a lot of thought into it. You helped me create this wonderful pamphlet that it's literally like a touristy brochure. And when I took it to Office Depot, the lady who printed it was like, what do you charge to make these? These are awesome. And I was like, I could go into business doing this.
Yeah.
like making an itinerary for people.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it takes time, but it looks pretty top notch with your additives in there. So,
I think
thank
we
you.
could put that on our website, and other people who
Yeah.
visit Houston, maybe we can do them for like just
No, when they visit Hawaii, like here are the places you should go. Like here's some suggestions for your
some
itinerary.
suggestions. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to just letting that grow. You know what? I was thinking more and more that when our website finally gets launched, which is so close. So thank you everybody for being so patient with us. We actually didn't think we'd have so many people searching for us, but we know that you're searching because we get a little email that says you've been looked at.
Yeah.
People are trying to find you.
They are.
And we're really trying to get it up. We just want it to be really good. So we're not going to rush it. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of information on there and hope to share a whole lot of fun things.
Yeah. So with that, please check us out on mytaisatsunset.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those social media bits. And we've started to write for Medium as well. And please support us on Patreon. It's been great to have Tommy and Amy there. But we would definitely like to see some more of our fans. And
until we meet again, ahui ho.